Well, good morning and welcome to Living Beyond Limits. I am Reverend Jennifer Spear. We are a part of Centers for Spiritual Living. It is my honor to welcome you here this morning. I'm so glad that you came to share your morning with us and with each other. And if you are new today, from the very bottom of our hearts to yours, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. And so let's begin the service today by reading our mission statement that's on the front of your bulletin. We are a sanctuary where people can discover and reveal the presence of God within their own being and experience their oneness with all life. Through the realization of this inner presence of love and peace, we give way to the evolutionary impulse of the divine and become a beneficial presence in the world. So that's what we're doing here at Living Beyond Limits, is we're actually giving ourselves the opportunity through listening to the readings and the talks and the prayers and the music to remember, oh yes, indeed, I am primarily a spiritual being. That one infinite presence of spirit, the divine, God, consciousness, mind, whatever you want to call it, permeates everything. Not just does it permeate everything, but it is everything. That one presence, that one power, that one light and love and goodness expresses itself as everything in this world. And what that means then, if everything is spirit personified, then nothing is separate from it. And that means then, too, if we are personifications of spirit, then what is true of spirit is true of us. That means that we already contain the love of the divine. We already contain the peace of the divine. We are already created out of wholeness and out of peace and out of intelligence. Therefore, when we come to understand that and to actually sense that within our own beingness, then when we are out in the world and the world is not reflecting back to us, say, love or peace or kindness or generosity or whatever, we can tap into that within us and bring that forward. And as we do that, we actually act as a beneficial presence. As we bring love and peace and generosity forward, we transform the interactions, we transform the relationships that we are in. And because everything is connected to everything else, that ripples out like ripples on a pond that affects the whole. And so I say thank you to every single one of you for walking this path, for saying yes to the call of your own spirit to be here, being a beneficial presence and bringing your own spirit into this world in a way that is beautiful. Thank you. You know, in our mission statement, we talk about through this realization of this inner presence of love and peace. And yet, sometimes when we are moving through the busyness of our lives and the challenges in our lives and the challenges of this world, it's really easy to forget who we are, that we are that presence of love and peace. We forget, it's so easy to forget who we are, that we are literally incarnations of the divine, incarnations of love and intelligence and wisdom and wholeness and power. And when we forget who we are, then what happens oftentimes is we start feeling, especially when we forget that we are the love of the divine, we start feeling detached from other people. We sometimes feel separated from others, separated by our opinions, separated by our beliefs, separated by our cultures, separated by our attitudes, when we forget that we are love. And it's when we forget who we are, then it's really easy to lose perspective on the world. It's easy to lose our focus that essentially we are spiritual beings, having a human experience. And I know that all of us have had in our lives the experience of when we are remembering who we are and when we are living from our spirit and expressing our spirit, life is so much more satisfying. We feel so much better on the inside. Especially, it's so much more satisfying and feels better than when we are living feeling like we are separate from everyone and everything. And so that means then we really want to, at our deepest level, live from our spirit. We really want to live in that place of remembering who we are. We want to be expressing our spirit. We want to feel the love that is inside of us that we experience as goodness. We want to experience that love that is within us when we are connected to our own spirit and when we are expressing it in the world. And we want to also feel that love that gets returned from others when we are being loving or kind or generous. We give that love and we get that love in return, and both of those things feel so good. Any time that we are kind or generous or loving or open-hearted, it moves us into our own spirit. And so the other day we went to lunch at a restaurant near my house that's called Grounds, and it's a sandwich shop. Maybe you've been there before. And you go in after you order, you go in the back and get your own drink. And on the left-hand side, they have all the fountain drinks, where you push your cup and it fills it up. And then next to that, there's a little machine that has like 4 buttons, and it mixes different kinds of drinks. And then there's 2 containers with the tab on the bottom that you fill your cup up that has iced tea and tropical iced tea in. I go there all the time, and I go there just for the tropical iced tea because it's so good. And so I'm filling my cup up, and this woman comes up next to me, and she gets the ice, and then she does the machine where you push one of the 4 buttons. And she puts them in, and then she tastes it, and she makes this terrible face and goes and dumps what she put in her cup out. And I said, "Oh, what did you just taste?" She goes, "Oh, this raspberry iced tea." And I said, "Oh, they have a really good tropical iced tea here. In fact, I come all the time. It's right here." She comes over and pours it, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." There's a connection just from this little tiny interaction. And you know what? That's all it takes. That's all it takes is being present in your heart. That's all it takes is being loving and generous and present with people. That's all it takes to create that connection and to feel that kind of satisfaction of living from your heart and living from your spirit. And so one of the core principles and practices of Centers for Spiritual Living is called practicing the presence. And it says, practicing the presence is the practice of the principles of oneness and love, whereby we become aware of and experience the one infinite reality. You mean like that we are all connected? That we are all part of this whole? That we are all part of the one? It goes on to say, the practice of the presence is living in alignment with our science of mind principles, making them evident in our present moment, thereby being congruent in thought, word, and behavior. So that means then that if we know that we are love in form, that means then that love informs our thoughts and our words and our actions. That we act as love in our thoughts and our words and our actions. It means that when we live in an awareness of the Spirit within us, we are living that truth. It means that living in an awareness of the Spirit within us and the Spirit within others and Spirit within all things, it means then that we know that and then we act as though that were the truth. That we are love in form. We act as though that were the capital T truth. Remember that capital T truth is that which is eternal and unchanging. And so practicing the presence helps us remember who we are. That we are spirit incarnate. And remembering who we are helps us practice the presence while we're out in the world. And so the title of my talk today is Love Personified. And I'm talking about that when we remember that we are spirit in form, that takes us then to knowing that love is our true nature. What's our true nature? Love. So in that consciousness of our true nature, which is love and peace and wholeness and power and goodness, then we bring love into our interactions with other people. And we bring love into our interactions with ourselves when we remember that love is our true nature. What's our true nature? Love. Raymond Charles Barker said, "You can only be what you are aware of being. You can only be what you believe yourself to be." That's why remembering who and what we are is so important. If you don't remember, you're not going to act from there. He gives this great example. He says, at the present moment, I may not know how much money I have in my wallet. I can reach into my pocket and take out my wallet, count the bills, and know how much I have. Therefore, I can, if I choose, use the money. Being aware of it, I have it. If you don't know you have it or that you are it, you won't be it. And so I got a phone call from one of my friends, Teresa Robbins, the other day. She is living in North Hollywood, and she told me that she went to get in her car to go to work, and she's dressed. She says she looks nice and everything, and her car won't start. And so she called her neighbor on the phone and asked him if he would come help her start her car. And he said, sure. And so while she's waiting for him, people drive by and people walk by, and here comes this guy. She says he looks like he'd slept in his car the night before. And he asks her, do you need some help? Do you need me to help you do anything? And she said the most interesting thing to her was, I don't know what her response was, she didn't tell me that, but what the most interesting thing she said was, all these people that drove by and that walked by and didn't stop, didn't give her the time of day, the person that had the least was the person that asked her if she wanted some help. And then I think, too, not only did he have the least, but he had the least to protect. He had the least to defend, because I think that keeps us sometimes from being with other people. We think we have to defend ourselves somehow, or protect ourselves or our stuff, whatever it is. Was it that he was really the only one that was really present, because he wasn't in his head rushing off to get the next thing done? Was it that he was simply more open? So what is it, do you think, that keeps us from acting as the love that we are? What do you think it is? Feeling unsafe? Mm-hmm. What else keeps us from acting as the love we are, Pat? Huh. She said that she thinks sometimes we think we have to mind our own business and not get into other people's business. Mm-hmm. Sonny? Fear of rejection. Fear of rejection. Saying or doing the wrong thing. Fear of saying or doing the wrong thing. General anxiety. Oh, fear of not being able to help, not being capable or competent of what is being required. Yeah. And hearing Ray say that too makes me think, it's not everyone's job to stop and help someone whose car isn't running or won't start. But the thing is, why am I not helping? Because I don't have the knowledge or I don't have the know-how? Or is it because I think I'm having to protect myself, or because I'm feeling separate? It's about what is your internal story, and is that true, and is that a place you want to live, right? I think that some of those things that keep us from being the love that we are in the world is fear, like you said. I think it is also judging other people. I think it's not being present with what's happening right around us because we're in our heads and busy. And I also think sometimes it's because of otherness. We see them somehow as being other than we are, so we don't cross whatever that boundary is. But I think that biggest one is judgment, that we judge other people. Whatever it is we're judging them about, if we think they don't deserve it, or if we think they're not good enough, or we think they're whatever it is, with some judgment that we have. But I love this. Mother Teresa said, if you judge people, you have no time to love them. You know, we can't have two opposing thoughts or feelings at the same time. And if you're busy judging someone, there is no room in you for love. I think the second thing often that keeps us from experiencing and being the love that we are is that we forget that we are supported by life. And when we get into fear that we don't have enough, or that we won't have enough, or fear that somehow our needs won't be met, then what happens is we close up like a clamshell, and nothing can get in and nothing can get out. But you know what? The nature of God that is within you and all around you is love. And Ernest Holmes, the founder of this philosophy, says, love, God is love, and God, the love is the givingness of God. Let me say that again. Love, the nature of God is love, and love is the givingness of God. So Spirit is always pouring forth, right? It is this infinite potential, this boundless good, this creativity, this life essence. It is always pouring forth. It is always pouring into you. It is the essence of who you are. So you cannot not be supported by life. You cannot be out of the flow unless you move yourself out of the flow by your thinking. You are constantly in this flow of good flowing into your life. So remembering who and what we are moves us out of that place of scarcity and thinking that we will not have enough. The out-picturing, the outpouring of Spirit is the very activity of love. Reverend Scott Aubrey said, in your raw, honest, vulnerable way of being, you become a channel through which someone else can feel God's touch. You may be the only occasion for someone else's defining moment. You may be the only book of wisdom someone ever reads, or the only voice of truth that they hear. It may be through your kind words or your touch that another person feels the embrace of the divine. You might be the only one that shows up to be the truth, that shows up to be grounded in spirit, knowing who you are and knowing who they are, and that is healing. That is healing to you, and that is healing to the other person. So when we live in the awareness of who we are, when we live in the awareness that love is our essence, when we live in the awareness of oneness with Spirit, oneness with the all good, and oneness with others, then it's easy to live with an open heart. Then it's easy to feel connected and to feel generous, to feel kinship, to care. It's easy to be generous then and compassionate. Because love is your nature. Because love is who you are. What's your nature? Love. Who are you? Yeah. And so I invite you to get out your insert, and if you have a pen, to have your pen. There's just one little question on there, and when you're ready, I invite you to, when you have it out, to just close your eyes. And so I invite you just to bring to your mind someone or something that feels challenging to you in your life. Maybe it's some place that feels kind of stuck. someplace you don't know what to do, or maybe you feel a little bit helpless, or maybe it's just difficult. And to bring that situation or that person to mind, and then listening within your own divine nature, your own wisdom, to ask yourself, what would love do in this situation? What would love do? And when you're ready to write that answer down, what would love do here? And when you're done, to go ahead and close your eyes again. And I have another question for you, and that is to ask yourself, if I am love, how do I treat myself in this situation? If I am love, how do I treat myself in this situation? And to write that down when you come up with it. And I invite you to open your eyes. You don't have to reach outside of yourself for the answer. That love is already within you. Is all you have to do is tap into it. Is all you have to do is listen within, not to your ego, not to your head, not to your experience, to your spirit, which is the love within you. Reverend Scott Aubrey said, Buckminster Fuller once said, on this spaceship Earth, there are no passengers, only crew. We are all crew. And we're not the pilot, the co-pilot, or the navigator. We are each the chaplain. We're each called to minister to one another and to the planet, to bring new life forward, to nurture ourselves and each other. It's most easy to step into that role of chaplain when you remember that you are love. When you remember that that is who you are. And so my invitation to you this week is to do whatever spiritual practice helps you remember who you are, helps you remember that you are love. You know, that's what a spiritual practice is. A spiritual practice is just anything that helps us remember the truth. And so do spiritual practice of reading things that are inspiring to you, that remind you of who you are. Or meditate so that you can move beyond the chatter of your everyday human mind and move into something that is more spacious, that is more fulfilling, deeply fulfilling, so that you can touch your own wisdom, your own inner beingness, so that you can move out of your ego's perspective. And remind yourself daily, or several times a day, I am love. Will you say that? Let that be your mantra. You can repeat it to yourself all day long. You can see it like a filter that says, I am love, that's like right here in your vision, so that everywhere you look, you're still seeing this I am love, to remind yourself. And when you feel frustrated in your life, when you feel irritated or annoyed or angry or stuck by something that's happening, stop and move into that space and ask yourself, what would love do here? That's your answer. That's the answer that's most satisfying to your soul. What would love do here? And then as you do that, you'll be living from your true nature, living from who you really are in your essence. You'll be practicing the presence wherever you go. And you will be acting as a healing balm to the people that you interact with and to yourself. And so blessings to each and every single one of you as you walk this path, remembering who you are, reminding yourself of who you are, and then living from there. Blessings to all of you. And so I invite you to join me as we align our own thinking with the truth. And so I recognize that there is only this presence, only this one that is expressing itself in and through and around and as everything that we see and everything that we don't see. That this presence is a presence of creative intelligence. It is the very energy of love and creativity and boundlessness. It is infinite potentiality, infinite intelligence, and that it is everywhere present, and that it is the animating principle, that which gives life to everything, that which animates everything, that which is here expressing as everything. And so I recognize that we then are each personifications of this one. Personifications of love and intelligence and wisdom. Personifications of the good itself. Personifications of wholeness and of peace and of power, of beauty, of magnificence. That we are here living this life of the divine, carried and buoyed and enwrapped in this presence, and at the same time filled with it, carried by it. And so today we just lean into the truth. And as we do so, all thoughts of scarcity or lack or limitation dissipate. For in this light of truth, the darkness dissipates without effort. And so today we keep our focus on who we are, love in form, the divine here expressing. And we move into our world from that consciousness, from that conscious awareness. And yes, I know that we will slip up. And when we do, we easily move back into, oh yes, here I am, love in form. And we forgive, and we let go, and we align ourselves once again with who we really are. And so I speak this word not just about us, but about this entire world, knowing that Spirit is expressing, unfolding, carrying, buoying, and wrapping itself around every single person, every single situation, every single thing. The light of the divine is bright. The love of the divine permeates all. And in that, relationships are healed. In that, wise and caring decisions are made. In that, we come together as one humanity, one people, one planet, one life, and it is good. And so I release this prayer into that creative law of the universe, simply recognizing it to be so, and in such, it shows up in our lives. And so in gratitude, I release this prayer. And if you are in agreement with these words, I invite you to join me in saying, and so it is. Time this is? Invitation time? Yes. Next week, is it next week? Yep. Yes, next week we are having church in the park. I think right over here, unless there's somebody else with a bouncy house or something there when we get here. Church in the park and a picnic afterwards. So there is a sign-up sheet in the back, I believe, for if you would like to sign up to bring some dish to share. We also invite you, if you want to bring games. If you have games you want to play, bring a chair to sit in, and we're going to do church in the park and then have a picnic afterwards. We just invite you to check in on Meetup and say that you're coming, to follow us on Instagram. Who in this room does Instagram? Just a couple of us. Marisha, I know you do because I send you things. And then so when we post things, follow us on Instagram. And then when we post things, to share them with people in your life that you think they might be interested. We're going to start putting out quotes and affirmations, and Mike is shortening videos of the talks, but share them with the people that you think might be interested. It's funny, I think we've been in a holding pattern because of COVID for quite a while, and we've not been putting energy into growing the church because I think people have been holed up, and I think that things are loosening up and people are starting to want to get out and do things. So this is the time I think that we're going to start putting it out there and bring some new people in. So we invite you to do that on social media with us. Our Sunday talks are available on our website. They also come out on Mondays. If you would like to be on our email list, let Ray know your email address, and those come out on Monday. It will land in your email box. Yes. And we have prayer support after service. If any of the practitioners, raise your hand if you're a practitioner, are happy to sit and pray with you. We have a ministry of prayer box in the back, and you can put your request in, and we will support you during the week. We have prayer shawls that if you would like to be wrapped in that energy of prayer and take it with you, there are prayer shawls in the back. The practitioners are happy to pray over it for whatever your desire is, and then you can take that with you and gift it to yourself or someone else. One last announcement is I forgot to tell you last week that Marianne Woods passed last week. Oh, yeah. And then I found out yesterday that Patricia Sowers passed this week. She was 96. Two people that have been so a part of this community and so a part of our hearts and how much we love them. And so I know that all is well with them and that they are at peace and enwrapped in love and feel our love, and just what a blessing it has been to have them in our lives. So that's that. And so we're going to close the service by... The love and light of Spirit are within me now.
Love and light and Spirit are within me now.
I own it and I share it.
I own it and I share it.
I am it.
I am it.
I am a beneficial presence.
I am a beneficial presence.
And so it is.